Thank you for being here. I know that's the kind of thing we say at a moment like this, but I'm not saying that necessarily even just for me. I know that's what Amanda wants to say, what Reed and Kaylee want to say. Thank you for being here. They wrote something that they wanted me to read for you. It's on the back of the program, but I'll read it for them. It says, "Friends, we are overwhelmed by your outpouring of love and support. Randy loved big." Man, how many times I've heard that lately. Randy loved big, and we feel that multiplied back to us tenfold. The love that you have shown us is a living testimony to the life that Randy lived and to the Savior that he loved. And I'm pretty sure they wrote that before there were hours of people last night who waited just to hug, and hours of people this morning who waited just to hug. And so thank you for loving this family really well. Randall Lowry Bostic Jr., devoted husband and father, friend, mentor, and champion of others, received his eternal reward on January 15th, 2026, after a brief illness resulting in cardiac arrest. Randy was born to Randall and Deanna Bostic on July 29th, 1973 in New Orleans. He grew up in West Monroe, Louisiana, and Nashville. The son of a basketball coach, Randy spent his childhood surrounded by athletics and could most often be found shooting baskets in the gym or playing overly competitive wiffle ball outside with his younger brother, Josh. From an early age, Randy developed a deep love of sports, especially baseball, and that continued throughout his life, whether he was participating as a player or a coach. As an adult, he proudly added Ironman finisher to his sports repertoire. Randy graduated from David Lipscomb High School in 1992 and Lipscomb University in 1996. And he earned an ME in 1998 from Harding University and a JD from University of Memphis, Cecil C. Humphrey School of Law in 2002. While at Lipscomb University, he served as a student assistant for the baseball team, and he continued in a graduate assistant role at Harding University. In his recent professional life, Randy founded Bostic Law, served as an assistant professor of kinesiology at Lipscomb University, and he founded Lipscomb's Sports Analytics program, which launched in 2024. He took great joy in supporting his students, building relationships with them, and advocating on their behalf. Randy was known for his warm, gregarious, and engaging personality, and he delighted in pouring into the lives of others. He was quick to form friendships, encouraging others, or offer a helping hand to someone in need. His generosity also extended to his community and his church family, as he served in leadership positions on the board of Ciudad de Angeles and the Nashville Old Timers Baseball Association, as a youth baseball, softball, and basketball coach, and at Brentwood Hills Church of Christ on the Missions Committee. Among all the hats that Randy wore, his most cherished role was that of a husband to Amanda and a father to Reed and to Kaylee. For more than 21 years, he was Amanda's biggest cheerleader, loved her deeply. He adored his children, supported them at every opportunity. The very best of him, his joy, his love for others, his strength of character, carries on in them. He was the happiest at the water, loved nothing more than a family beach trip, especially if scuba diving was involved. Randy is survived by his wife, Amanda, son, Reed, daughter, Kaylee, parents, Randall and Deanna Bostic, brother Josh Bostic, and his wife, Jean, father-in-law and mother-in-law, John and Karen Korn, brother-in-law, Ben Korn, and Amanda, 2 nephews, 2 nieces. I was with the family a few days ago. I'll say more of that in a bit. But before we started sharing stories, we were kind of huddled together, standing together in the kitchen. And I said, this is really sacred space, really holy. And I feel the same about this. I said, the reason that I say that is because I just read this week in Psalm 34, right in the middle of that psalm, where it says that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. And he rescues those who are crushed in spirit. And if we believe that to be true, that means God is really close. And this is really sacred space. And we'll do the best we can to honor Randy and to comfort each other and to glorify God.
This morning, the Bostics have selected some songs for us to sing together. And I know it would be an incredible gift to them this morning if all of you joined in as we sing together, because it is worship, but in so many ways often overlooked. Singing together comforts each other as well. It's part of being part of the body of Christ. So would you sing together this morning? Psalm 34. I sought the Lord, and he answered me, and delivered me from every fear. Those who look on him are radiant, they'll never be ashamed, they'll never be ashamed. This poor man cried, Lord, heard me and saved me from my enemies. The Son of God surrounded
Isaiah chapter 40, verses 28 through 31. Have you not known, have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might he increases strength. Even youth shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not be faint.
Amen. And this next song is one straight from the parables. Love these words. Listen to these words as we sing them. For the Lord is a righteous God, perfect in all of his ways. For the Lord is a righteous God, perfect and worthy of praise. And the righteous will see his holy face, washed in the blood, saved by his grace. To the righteous he promises this special place, right next to his heart, face to face. Blessed are all the pure in heart, for one day they shall see God. Blessed are all the pure in heart, precious in his sight they are. And the righteous will see his holy face, washed in the blood, saved by his grace. To the righteous he promises this special place, right next to his heart, face to face. Right next to his heart, face to face. Right next to his heart, face to
I promise I'm going to make it. Just want to soak it in for a second. There's so many people, I just look out, see faces and friends and relationships. I think I've told several of you over this last day and a half, Randy's probably up in heaven. If you can be mad in heaven, he's probably a little bit mad because he would want to be here. He'd want to see all of you. He would want to sit down and talk to you. It might take a couple of weeks, but he'd want to talk to you. Let me start by saying thank you from the family. The amount of love and support, calls, texts, prayers have just been overwhelming. We know that you love Randy, but until now, it's hard to really comprehend how much. And so we've just been blown away. I could tell you all kinds of little stories of people just doing selfless things that have made it easier for Amanda and the kids and our family. And I just can't tell you how thankful I am. So I know one of the things that we try to do as we were thinking about Randy is there's too many stories and we don't have enough time, and I know we had to go through a lot, and there's a lot of you that have lots and lots of stories. And so we've been asking for those. I will make one more plea on that one, is we want to hear those stories for the kids and for my parents and for me. I hope that you'll share them. There's notes back there. My email address is on there. We want to compile them so that we can have those for later on as time goes on. So, if I got up here and be morbid, Randy would be mad. So we're not going to do that. Going to tell some stories. As a younger brother, I guess I get some leeway there. And I hope from this kind of first part that you'll kind of see maybe a lot of these things most of you will know, or some of you will know, but maybe there's a few things that you might not. So let's first, this one's good. Sorry, I need to get to the microphone. This one's going to be a little interactive, so especially some of you guys on the front row. Randy would not like that I'm wearing a tie. Randy didn't wear ties, did he? So, if Randy was here, and I thought about dressing like this, and I always wanted to dress like Randy, I never could pull it off, so I'm not going to try this morning. Y'all are welcome for that. But what would he be wearing? What would Randy be wearing? What would be on his head? That's right. There's his hat. What would be on the hat? That he would never put on his face, but what would be on the hat? His sunglasses, absolutely. There's his sunglasses. And then what would be on his feet? Y'all did great. Now, there was one thing that I thought about as a brother growing up. There was one other thing that was always a part of it, and I think some of these guys from when he was younger, what did he have in his mouth? Now, there's two answers to this. We're not going to go to the other one. So, what would he have in his mouth? Oh, man, maybe it was just me. But he always had a toothpick. He always had a toothpick. I never knew why. And I always thought he was going to swallow it. But he never did. But Randy loved to dress down. Loved to dress down. He had some good nicknames. For some reason, none of his friends liked to call him by his first name. So there wasn't ever Randy. It was always Boz or Bostic or something like that, to some version of that. But what's one of the other names that he had? Mayor. And I think the last 2 days have been evidence of that. And even, Drew, I think you're the one, at least I'll give you credit for it, is as his circles expanded, it wasn't just mayor, it was governor. So he was growing. Now, to my knowledge, and somebody may be able to correct me, I never heard anybody call him president. But he was getting there. Hold on a second. So we had lots of nicknames. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things he loved. Well, they mentioned a little bit in his obituary. First thing, he loved his family. He loved you guys a ton. He loved the beach. Even that's his wish, is that his ashes are going to be spread on the beach coming up soon. He loved Lipscomb. I know a lot of y'all from there, from playing, from doing that, but then from a professional standpoint, getting to work with the College of Business and doing fundraising there. I got to see Attorney Stevens this morning, and he was such a huge mentor and friend. And I can't tell you how much that meant to him. And now, where he was currently teaching with kinesiology, and helping start that sports analytics master's program he was so proud of. The other thing at university, he loved a lot of things about Lipscomb, but the other one was the baseball team. I got to see Coach Forehand earlier and several of the players, but he loved Lipscomb baseball. He loved baseball in general, but he loved Lipscomb baseball. Dad taught us right. We were Cardinals fans. For all you Cubs fans, I'm sorry. And we all know that he also loved which college team? The Vols. The Vols. We'll do that later. But maybe one thing that you didn't know was he wasn't always a Vols fan. See, we were born in Louisiana. And during his elementary years, he was a huge LSU fan. And so when he came here, he had a group of friends that finally, after several years of working on him, they were like, man, this purple is just ugly. They finally got him to wear another ugly color, orange. But he came to love the Vols. He loved being on the boards of CDAD and Old Timers, and gotten to meet several of you over the last couple of days. Man, he loved doing that. He loved being able to try to help in his own way. He loved Camp High Lake. Now, some of you may not know what that is, but that's the church camp of Harpeth Hills. When we first came to Nashville, I'm going to give credit to Mark Rankin, but somebody invited him. We didn't know many people. We were brand new, and they invited him. And he had the best week. And since then, he has wanted to go be a part of that anytime he could. When he was through high school, through college, his young adult life, he wanted to be at High Lake. That was one of his places. And again, over the last couple of days, to hear the people that he talked to, that he was counselors for or campers with, made a huge impact of him, and he loved it. Now this one, I don't get. Stan, I apologize. But he did love these Ironmans. Randy always had this ability to keep going, but I never knew why he wanted to do an Ironman. But he loved them. He loved them, and he was proud of them. And Stan, thank you for being his friend and his training partner. He loved that. And I know there's other you that were a part of that too. Another thing that wasn't in his obituary, but I think many of you know, is that he loved babies. He loved babies. And it started even at an early age. I remember we were probably 14, 15. And for some reason, Tim and Lisa Martin, Scott and Sandra Ellis allowed him to go down and get their kids from Sunday school class and bring them back up to them. I guess so they could keep talking. But he was like the Pied Piper. Once he started getting one, then he started knowing, and there ended up being like 10 kids that would just follow us out of class. Now that was before the days of checking them in and all those kind of things. And I've seen both of them and I'm going, I'm not sure what you're thinking. But that was the first time I can remember that he loved babies. But he had this, and there's probably some of you out there, especially some of you moms, that he didn't care if you wanted him to hold the baby or not. He would go grab him. He would just go grab him. And I can't tell you how many people have told me that besides the parents, the only person that baby would go to was Randy. He loved kids. Now, this one you probably know, but he was a little bit competitive. Just a little bit. It didn't matter what he was doing, golfing, hunting, church league softball, basketball, baseball, whatever. He wanted to do it right. I remember him in our growing up years. He would be in the gym shooting or at the cage hitting all the time. He loved it. He worked hard. I guess growing up because of that and comes having a coach as a father, we, again, elementary school, pretty competitive with each other. We played lots of games. I would say daily we played games. And it didn't matter if it was a board game or a basketball game or a wiffle ball game, football game, whatever it was. We played. All those games, let me tell you, the score of who won those games. Nobody. Because as soon as somebody got ahead and it was about time to quit, one of us accused the other one of cheating. And then there was balls thrown at the other one's head. There was wiffle ball bats being swung. And finally, Mom or Dad came and stopped it. And we were furious and we were competitive. But the best part about it was we'd start again tomorrow. So nobody ever won. Another thing probably many of you know, he liked to drive fast. He liked to drive real fast. And I'm sorry I'm having to mention that one, but it's a good story. The competitive part about him led us to trying to see how fast we could get places. So the first place that my dad and mom would let us go once he got his license was to see my grandmother. And she lived in Senatobia, Mississippi. And, first few times we went there and they were just glad we made it. But as we started going more and more, we got into a competition. And so there was no bathroom breaks. There was no stopping for food. The pedal was to the metal. I was talking to somebody about this earlier, and so I did have to do a MapQuest or GPS. And it's supposed to take 4 hours and 51 minutes from our house to her house. I'm proud to say our record was 2 hours and 36 minutes. I never drove. Now, there's a few of you also, and I don't know how widely this one is known, but what's the other thing that he used to do when he drove? You guys got it? Well, he used to put his foot out the window. Why? Don't know. How? I don't know. But he did. He was having a blast. Going, but it was Randy. It was Randy. I am going to tell about one of his bad habits because we were laughing about this earlier. Another thing that Randy struggled with was alarms. We've got a bet, and so I'm going to do this for you guys. How many people in here were roommates of Randy's? Can you raise your hand if you were ever a roommate of Randy's? Yeah, not as many as I thought. So I only saw a few. Somehow people he would tell the kids, like, that was my roommate. And I was like, I was a roommate for a long time. I mean, these guys were roommates for a long time, so I didn't know who those were. But for those of us that were roommates, he had to be somewhere. Randy was busy. So he would set an alarm at like 5:30 or 6 a.m. 5:30, 6 a.m. came along, alarm starts going off. Does Randy get up? No. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes later, and now you're about to kill him. Randy, turn off your alarm. And for a while, I'd go wake him up, at least when I was his roommate. I'd wake him up, because I was like, surely he's got to be somewhere. Well, didn't work. He would either fall back asleep or eventually get there, but it'd be an hour later. So, after apologizing later on in the day or over the course of a couple of weeks, he decided, okay, now I'm going to put 2 alarms. I'm going to do one at 6 and one at 6:15, and surely I'll wake up for that one. Nope. Now we just had 2 alarms going off for our own. We even got as bad as 3. 6 o'clock, 6:15, 6:30, and whatever he was supposed to be at, which I don't really know what it was because he never got there, those alarms were going off. Until the day when finally I just turned them off, and he did miss something he was supposed to be at. And it worked for about, maybe a day, 2, and then we started all over again. So Randy had a problem with alarms. You know, we joke with him, get laughs about it. He took a lot of grief from his friends at different times. Most of it very well deserved. But he was secure in who he was. And as we talk a little bit later about some of the things he was really about, being who he was and being comfortable in his own skin was just part of his charm. Because it was just Randy. So let's talk about a little bit more of different parts of Randy. It's where it's going to get a little harder. First, my brother. He was the best big brother. We fought, but he always was willing to let me hang around. I was that pest to a lot of these guys and to a lot of the friends, but he always wanted me to be there. And he always, even to our last conversation just a couple hours before he died, he was trying to help me be better. We had a unique bond. You don't see many people that we're only 2 years difference, but he was my coach. Now, I had my dad as my coach too, and I know there's more fathers and sons that are coaches, but you don't see many brothers that coach their brother. He coached me in three years of summer league, and I think both of them are here. Coach Parker, Coach Redding, you guys gave him a shot. And it made a difference. It made our bond something special. And he loved it. And that's where I really first saw him have relationships with people that just went beyond the norm. So as a brother, we did do those things. I've just got 2 stories that I'll tell. The first one, we were real young, and I took a little liberties on this one. Mom might have some different things to say about this, but this is from mine. We were probably 4, 5, 6, maybe a little bit older. But we played this thing called knee football. I don't know if you've ever played knee football. But really all it was we moved all the furniture back in the house. Mom wouldn't let us throw the ball in the house. And so it would be, you had to be on your knees. We'd throw the one to the other one, and then we'd just run at each other and hit each other. Not really football. It ended up being a big wrestling match. But we loved it. We loved it. Well, one day we had a brick fireplace. and we were being a little bit overly aggressive. And Randy tackled me into that fireplace, and I started bleeding. Well, Mom came in, there was an uproar, and she saw me bleeding, and she tried to take care of me, but she says, "You weren't the problem." She goes, "It was Randy." She says, "I couldn't calm Randy down. He thought he killed you." And so she says, that was the first time that she knew that he loved me. The other one that some of you guys know, but you probably don't, maybe not know this part of the story, is when we both played basketball together on the same high school team. I was a freshman, he was a junior. We were about to play our big rival, and Coach decided to make a change in the lineup. Now, Randy had been being competitive, worked really hard, but it was going to change him. You know, it was our rival. Coach told us on Wednesday, and I was nervous. I was scared. But I really wasn't as scared about the game as I was worried about what might happen with Randy. So, again, that was Wednesday night. We were going to church. And for some of y'all that know Harpeth Hills, there's a hill on the side going into the side door, and there's a walkway there. Well, we've been going. I was ahead of him. And very quickly comes up behind me and he grabs me. And he puts his arm around me. And he said, "Man, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Don't you worry about me. I'm okay. You go do what you do." There's not many people, especially a brother, that would be willing to give up himself and give up the limelight for his brother. My dad was talking about this the other day when we were talking in the family, and he said people used to ask him about, like, so what's going on at home? Like, surely it's got to be crazy. Nope. It never was, because Randy never let it. And again, if you know him and know how competitive he is and you know how much he wanted to be there, that wasn't easy. But that was the big brother he was. Next, coach. I see jerseys out here. There was no title besides dad that he wanted and enjoyed more than being coach. So I mentioned he started coaching when he was 16, 17, but when he got to college, he was helping with the university program as a student coach, but he also loved to coach 6th and 7th grade, or 5th and 6th grade basketball during the wintertime. And then he coached them all the years. He brought me along and another coach, and now even that coach, Richie Eastep, just got put into the Tennessee High School Hall of Fame the other day. And I think that was one of the first teams that Richie coached. But he loved the coach. Now, I have heard some stories about, especially with some that, like, I don't know how young it was, Kaylee, when he was there, but these girls may have been 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade. He's pretty intense, wasn't he? He's pretty intense. But he loved it because he wanted to teach them about teamwork. He wanted to teach them good habits, and he just loved it. He couldn't help it. Again, one of the kind of the running jokes is, from the family standpoint, is, how many people did he actually coach? How many teammates did he have? Because they said every time Randy would be out somewhere, somebody would come up and he would start talking to him, and they're like, "Well, who was that?" And they said it was always a roommate, which now, I don't know about that one. It was always a roommate or as a teammate or somebody he coached, especially in 5th and 6th grade basketball. So it looked like he coached 5th and 6th grade basketball for decades, according to that. So just so his kids can see, if you ever played with Randy, if you ever coached with Randy, if he ever coached you, will you stand up? He would love this. And I know you could tell some stories. Thank y'all. You can sit down. Hope you guys saw that. Made a big impact. Now, as a friend, Randy loved people. Never met a stranger. But the thing that was different about Randy is, for most of us, if we meet you, I might forget your name. And I apologize, I've probably forgotten a lot of your names already. But Randy didn't just remember your name, he knew something about you. We were joking the other day, it's like Randy must have had a lot more hours in the day than the rest of us, because he would have an hour conversation over here and an hour conversation over here and doing this, and we're like, how did you do that and get anything else done? But that was just who he is. He loved people no matter what they did. He's inside of this room. I know some of you are the top of what you do. You're the ultimate part of success in your field. And for a lot of us, sometimes he'd be trying to introduce me to somebody, and I'd kind of be starstruck, like they don't really care about knowing me. And he's like, oh no, they don't care. They don't care. Come on. Because he didn't care what you did. He just wanted to get to know you. But the other part was true too. He really didn't care what you did, because he would learn the names of every waiter and waitress, and he would call them, and he would ask them for this, and he would ask them for that. But he knew. He knew the people at the grocery store. He knew the people at the convenience store. He knew people all over the place. And they knew him. One funny story there, when we were about 16 or 17, for some of y'all that are old Lipscomb people, Coach, when the Bisons, Coach Meyer loved Captain D's, and so we had the coupons on the back. And so we were there every Sunday. Well, one day, and he was still in high school, we would eat together. My parents would eat together. Usually there's somebody else around. But one day he just got up and started talking. And I literally saw him walk from one table to the next table, to the next table, to the next table, all around the whole restaurant. And he knew somebody from everywhere. And I asked him, I said, did you know all those people? And he goes, I knew about 80%. But the other 40%, I just found something to talk to him about anyway. But again, that was who he was. Now, because of that, that caused a problem. We talk about Randy time. Because of that, he never left anywhere on time. Never got anywhere on time. Now, my wife and daughter are over there too, and they may say, yeah, you don't either. But he didn't care, because he wanted to talk to you. He wanted to be your friend, and he wanted to know something about you. The last little story as far as that was our $2 bet. A couple of months ago, I'd come into town for work, and we were waiting on Randy. Surprise, surprise. So we started talking, and somehow we got to saying, I wonder if Randy knows anybody here. He's probably talking to somebody outside. And so I said, okay, Kaylee, All right, we're going to make a bet. $2. Do you think he's going to know somebody in this restaurant or not? And I said, you can take it the way you want to. You can take yes or no. Well, she's like, there's no doubt he's going to know somebody here. I'm taking that bet. I'm going to win that bet. And so we had the $2 bet started. So Randy got into the restaurant. Kaylee and I are laughing about it. I kind of tell him, like, hey, we need you to do something. And he's like, what? I just got here. What? I was like, well, we need you to walk around and see if you know anybody. And he's going, why? I was like, just play along. And then once he saw Kaylee smile and that she wanted to do it and that she bet on him, he was all in. So Randy, as he would, he got up, sauntered around the whole restaurant, and as he did, he's just looking around. He didn't find a soul. I won that bet. And he came back, and you should have seen his face. He was shocked. He was like, I didn't see anybody. So fast forward 2 weeks. Back in town, we're back at dinner. We try again. Man, he's like, yes, $2 bet. Want to do it again. Can't lose to you. I said, okay, which way you got? She's like, oh, on him. No way 2 times in a row that he's going to be at a restaurant. He doesn't know anybody. So now this time Randy's all in. He loves it. He's like, oh, this is right down my alley. So he comes in. We're like, Randy, bedtime, go. So instead of sitting down, he just starts going. He's gone, trying to find somebody. Came back. He didn't know anybody again. Probably the only 2 times in all our times that he didn't know anybody. And let me tell you, he was hacked. As you can imagine, he was hacked. Not only did he not know anybody, but he let her down because she bet on him twice and he didn't win it for her. And even worse, she lost it to me. The kids even talk about, they can't go anywhere without Randy knowing somebody. They were talking about stories in Florida, all over the country where people just kind of show up and all of a sudden he'll look at them. And he doesn't if he's seen you. And I was talking to somebody earlier, like if he sees you from across the place, most of us would be like, I'll catch him later. I mean, they're doing that. It's not the right time. Randy, hey, how are you? Make a beeline. And then sit and talk to you for 20 minutes. Didn't matter. But again, that was Randy. But I think he would say the most important thing that he was, and that the thing he would like to be known for, is a Christian. He never missed a chance to talk about God, to talk about his faith. I've never met anybody that's so real and genuine. He knew he wasn't perfect, and he owned it. There's not many of us that are willing to be that vulnerable. But he was a part of men's groups and prayer groups and huddle groups. And again, it wasn't just adults. It was kids. He loved to help out kids. And he wasn't one that was going to preach at you. Wasn't a Bible banger on it. He wanted to sit down and talk to you, see what was going on in your world, see how he could help. And then, unlike most of us, it didn't end there. He'd follow up. Because once you started the conversation, he would never let it go. And as I've heard again over the last couple of nights, couple of days, there's so many relationships that he had of people that had that, where he was their confidant. He understood them. I've got one story, and I asked for permission. I'll leave names out, but I appreciated he let me do it. So I'm just going to read this because he said it best. He said, it was one of my first years at Harpeth Hills Church Camp and happened to be during a pretty difficult time in my life. My father had decided to leave, and I had just found out a few months before camp. I didn't know at this time, but my mom pulled Randy aside and shared with him the news and asked if he would keep an eye on me during camp. His response to his mom, I've got him. I've got him. He said, one day after playing softball, he put his arm around my neck, squeezing it in a way that a big brother does. And he told me to walk up to the canteen area with him. He naturally proceeded to give me some tips on my swing, of course. He said, I expect nothing less. But before we got close to the canteen, he asked me if he could pray with me. I agreed, and we sat down on the bench. And he goes, well, I don't recall the entire prayer. I do remember him hugging me at the end, that giant bear hug that Randy had, and saying, I love you, man. I'm here for you. And I got you. It was exactly what I needed to hear when I needed to hear it. He didn't realize the weight of those words and the impact they had had on me. Until years later when I shared with him, to which he cried and gave me another bear hug. I don't think he realized how big that was because Randy didn't cry very much. Randy had a heart for the Lord and for God, and he used him to speak into my heart and mind. And I'm sure there's others of you in here that would have very similar stories because that was who he was. I've laughed at people came by in the line saying, there's no telling what Randy's up in heaven doing. Probably talking baseball with Coach Dugan for one. Me personally, I'm thinking my grandmother, he's probably up there with her, taking her out to dinner at whatever the heavenly version of Chili's is. And he's probably also walking around introducing himself to everybody at this point. And he probably knows most everybody. It's only been a week. But regardless of what he's doing, and I know I'm kind of making a little bit of light of it, but he would not be happy with me if I didn't say this. He is expecting each and every one of you up there too, because he wants to introduce you around. He loved you. And so he'd want me to say that, hey, if you don't know where you're going, if you're not sure that you're going to go meet him, come talk to me. Email me. We couldn't honor Randy more than for all of us to be up there someday, whenever it is your time. Because that's what he wants. God just called him first so that he could be there for us. All right. Now it gets really hard. Bear with me for a second, but I want to share a couple personal things with the family. The Corn family. John, Karen, Ben, Amanda, Stacy, John Wyatt, Stacy's whole extended family that I got to meet. Thank you for loving my brother. Thank you for taking him in. He knew it was a lot. He knew he was a lot. But you included him nonetheless. And he loved you guys. And then for me this week, I've always been the brother. But you guys have just smothered me with hugs and love and support. And I'm entirely grateful. Mom, yeah, you. We're out of order, I know. I know this has been hard. And you love big, and he knew that. He might push back sometimes when you got a little mushy. But he knew you loved him. And he loved you too. No doubt. We talked about it. He did. Dad, you two are a lot alike, which caused some interesting conversations and some interesting situations when we were in high school. But he always respected you. For not only what you said, but what you did. You walked the walk. And we saw it. And again, when we talked about it a lot. That as we started having our own families, that we hoped we were being good husbands and good fathers just like you were to us. And he loved you. All right, Amanda, your turn. He loved you fiercely. As you said this the other day, he pursued you. He pursued you, though, because he recognized what type of person you were. You loved him besides his imperfections. You were an incredible wife, and you are an incredible mom. Now, I think all of us, Bostic, got pretty good. My mom was a super mom. My wife is a super mom. And Amanda, you're a super mom. So we hit the lottery. And he loved to brag on you. He was so proud of you. So proud of you. You never would tell me that you were a big deal, but he would. He loved to, because you're a big deal. And you're good at what you do. You always loved him. You gave him grace. But you always were up for the next adventure with enthusiasm. And he loved that. And that's why y'all fit so well together. And as you said, after our first phone call, after he passed, family forever. And change. All right. Read. Man, you have a lot of talent. And there's no telling where you're going to go from here. But let me tell you, and let me be clear. Your dad didn't love you because you could hit a baseball or what you will accomplish. But he loved you for you. He was admired about your dedication and your work ethic. He loved being able to spend time with you. He loved those times in the cage. He loved to go hunting with you. He knew sometimes that as a father he had to provide you discipline. But man, he just thought you were a good person. He thought you were the best. One of the things Randy wanted to do was create traditions for his kids. So one of those traditions was with the old timers banquet, he would always get a ball for whoever the speaker was. So he wanted Reed to have one. Well, this year he had surgery and he wasn't going to be able to make it. And so he reached out to one of his friends, Mark Gent, and said, "Hey, man, can you get me a ball?" Got that ball. Come here. Thank you, Mark, for doing that. As you look at that ball, know it was one of the last things that your dad did here. But he did it to his last day, thanking and loving you. He would have done anything for you. Kaylee, your turn. Your dad was so proud of you. The effort that you're starting to put into cheer and the focus that you had for your dreams. I know you guys had just talked recently about some of the things that you had hoped to do, and he was so excited. So excited for you, but so excited to be able to try to help you. Now, if you know my brother and cheerleading, that was a stretch growing up. But because it was Kaylee, he was all in. He wanted to learn everything that you guys were about. And he was your biggest fan. But the thing he loved about you that he talked to me about was not about cheering, but it was about how you love people. And he could see that same thing that he loved in you. Your smile, how you cared about people, how you went out of your way. And he loved it. So, there's my $2 bill. We only got to do it twice, but I am very confident that if this would have lasted more than just a couple of months, I would have lost big time. So I think it's a small price to pay to just give you the $2. But I want you to keep this. And think about your dad. And not because he knew people, not because of that, but remember what I said of why he was willing to play the game, why he was willing to come and do it. Because he saw the smile on your face and he knew you were in. And so he was going to do anything he could for you. He loved you. We all stand up for just a second and look around. I know it's hard. Look some people in the eyes. All right. You know, just keep standing. Randy loved big. This is a testament to it all. He loved big. He's going to leave a big hole. But I hope if you saw these people out here, is that these people are going to be here for you, for all of you. I see sports teams, I see cheer teams, I see all of this. Nobody can step into his shoes. No one person, but this community will. Okay? And for me, as Randy would say, I got you. Okay? I got you too. I know I've been up here a long time, and I apologize. Not really. But thank you for allowing me to talk about my brother. He was a great brother, but he was a great coach. He was a great friend and a great Christian man. We all know where he is right now. And it hurts, again, because he loved big. Randy, you truly are my hero. And I'll miss you so much. I don't know how I won the lottery and got to be your little brother, but I'm so thankful I did. God has said, well done, good and faithful servant. And buddy, I can't wait till I get to see you again. You were the best.
Let's sing together. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people. Surround us, Lord. Surround us, O Lord. We need to be in your presence. Surround us, Lord, as the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people. Surround us, Lord. Surround us, O Lord. We need to be in your presence. Surround us, Lord. Surround us, Lord. Surround us, O Lord. We need to be in your presence. Surround us, Lord. Surround us, Lord.
There was nobody like him. I think that's one of the first things that I heard someone say after we started getting the news that none of us were expecting to get, and that we're still trying to make sense of, and that still doesn't seem real. And I don't know how many times I've heard that since, but there was nobody like Randy Bostic. Just over 140 miles, 140.6 miles, 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike, and a 26.2-mile run. That's crazy. How many people can say that they are an Ironman finisher? I mean, that alone tells you a whole lot about Randy. The kind of determination that it takes, the kind of commitment that it takes to prepare for something like that, and to complete something like that, and to put your body through something like that. There's no one quite like Randy. 52 years seems really short, way too short. I wish that everyone could have been with me, just sitting right there with me in Randall and Deanna's living room a couple days ago. Amanda and Reed and Kaylee were there, and Amanda's parents, and Randy's parents, Randy's brother, and for 3 hours they just told stories, and I just typed as fast as I could. And there will be several that will overlap. At least you know we're telling the truth about Randy, right? And they laughed, and we laughed, and we cried, and it was sacred. And at one point in that, Deanna, Randy's mom, said, there was a time when we thought, because of some health issues, that we weren't going to be able to have kids. And then God gave us this gift that we didn't know we'd have. And she said, we had that gift for 52 years. And we don't know what the last 52 years would have been like if we hadn't had that gift. I think that was after Randy's brother, Josh, said something along the lines that I just keep going back to. He said, that 52-year-old body went through a lot, got a lot of use. I think that's the way he said it. That 52-year-old body got a lot of use. And I just keep going back to that. I just keep thinking about it. It reminded me of this verse in the Bible. Maybe you know it from Romans. It says, therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to present your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. And I think that's part of what Josh meant when he said that 52-year-old body got a lot of use. Randy's mouth, if you know, Randy's mouth got a lot of use, right? That guy could talk about anything. Coffee in, conversation out. Like constantly, right? Sip, say, sip, say. And you really have to wonder what he was thinking, right? I don't know that he really kept his thoughts to himself very much. You knew what Randy Bostic was thinking. He could talk. Reed said that Randy would film his baseball games. I guess it was probably on his phone or something. And he'd film the baseball games, and he said they'd go back and watch the video, and Randy's having all these conversations the whole time. He heard all of Randy's conversations in the background because he wouldn't stop talking. He's filming, but he's still talking. And he said sometimes it would shake. I don't know if Randy was laughing or he was getting really excited about what he was talking about, but it was like unwatchable. It was just, a record of his conversation that day. And he could talk. He could talk about sports. He could talk about baseball and football and basketball and the Vols, of course, Tennessee Vols. And he could talk about Swiftwick socks, and he could talk about on-cloud shoes, and he could talk about coffee all day. He could talk about coffee. If he wasn't drinking coffee, he was talking about coffee. He was a coffee aficionado, and they're afraid to go back and kind of tally up how much money he spent at Starbucks. There's no telling how much money Randy Bostic spent at Starbucks. And if he wasn't buying it, he was brewing it. And he could talk about the flavors of coffee, and he could talk about the brands of coffee. And he put salt in his coffee because he thought it did something to the pH level. He was like a coffee aficionado. But more recently, as Josh said, he could talk about cheerleading. He knew the difference between a flyer and a base, between a back handspring and a back tuck. In fact, he kept trying to get you to throw a back tuck in an off time of a game. He said he'd give you $20 if you did it. If you asked him about it, Randy could talk about what he cared about. But anyone can do that. That's not why someone said there's no one quite like Randy. They said it because Randy could talk not only about what he cared about, he could talk about what you cared about. And because Kaylee cared about cheerleading, Randy cared about cheerleading. And it wasn't just his mouth that got a lot of use, it was his ears also that got a lot of use, because that's how he knew how to talk about what you cared about. He would ask, and then he would listen. I guess that's probably what he was doing when he was sipping, right? Coffee. He was listening. And he'd listen, and he would remember. You know this. I'm not the only one. He would remember, and he'd ask you about it the next time he saw you. He didn't just talk about what he cared about. He was listening. His mouth got a lot of use, but so did his ears. There was no one quite like him. And Randy's eyes got a lot of use. He noticed people. He saw people. It was like he was always on the lookout for someone that he knew. And if he didn't see anybody he knew, he would then find someone he didn't know and become someone that he knew, right? He just was constantly looking, especially for people who needed encouragement or who needed a friend. This past week, I was talking to a mutual friend that Randy and I had that went way back, and I had to be the one to tell our friend he didn't know yet. And one of the first stories he told, he said when he was young, he was a boy, he went to baseball camp at Lipscomb. And he was scared because he didn't know anybody. And he was kind of off to himself, and of course, Randy saw him and went and found him and introduced him to everybody. And he said, even as a boy, he remembered thinking, I want to be like that when I grow up. That's Randy. He noticed people. He noticed employees, like Josh said. Starbucks employees would give him free coffee because I guess they thought he spent enough at this point. But they knew him because he saw them, and he'd go into restaurants, and even if the waiter wasn't serving his table, they'd come and talk to him because they knew him. He saw and noticed people. And he noticed students. It wasn't just sort of a job to him. He noticed his students, and he cared about them. And there was a story that they were talking about in Gulf Shores where there was this family in Gulf Shores in Florida, and here he runs into somebody he knows, but he didn't really know him. He knew the student. But the parents knew Randy because Randy had found out that this student's mom was fighting cancer. And he was so intentional about asking the student, how's your mom? And praying over her after class. And this mom knew Randy, but she had never met him yet because she knew that's the teacher that's been praying for me. He saw people. He noticed people. His eyes got a lot of use. There's no telling how many. His hands. His hands got a lot of use. There is no telling how many hands Randy Bostic shook in 52 years, right? I mean, can you imagine? It's already been mentioned. He was known sometimes as the mayor, and he would work the room. He would work this room. And it wasn't just, some people thought it was maybe campaigning, but if you knew him, you knew it wasn't, he's not trying to do it to gain some sort of reputation, or he was doing it because he loves people. He cared about people. And I loved, again, what Karen, his mother-in-law, she said, Randy would ditch a CEO for a baby any day. He was much more interested in those who were vulnerable and those who were especially underdogs, who needed coaching or teaching or encouragement. And so because of that, Randy's arms got a lot of use too. There's no telling how many times he would put his arm over someone's shoulder that needed it right at that moment. One year when Randy was serving at church camp, Josh told the story about the young man who was a camper. His mom came and found Randy and said, my son's going through a lot. Could you watch out for him? And she singled out Randy because she knew he would. And he did. And he checked up on him. And he checked up on him long after camp was over. Randy's arms got a lot of use. And his feet. Randy's feet got a lot of use. I don't want to gross anybody out, but Amanda said that he had calluses on his feet like razors. I mean, he was on his feet a lot because he was on a go a lot. He was always on the move. I mean, after he got up finally in the morning, he liked to sleep in, but once he got up and got out of the bed, it was like a tornado, and he was on and he was off and he was going, and he loved to go places and to see people and to drive, and as has been mentioned, he loved to drive fast, and he loved to drive fast with his leg out the window with those calluses, I guess. I don't know. And again, I was wondering the same thing. How in the world? I guess cruise control. I don't know. And he loved to drive fast, and yet he didn't seem to get pulled over. There's not a lot of stories of him getting tickets. And he had this theory. He said, you don't want to be the car in the front. If you're going to drive fast, first of all, don't drive fast alone, he said. And you don't want to be the car in the front. And he said, you don't want to be the car in the back. You want to be the car in the middle. And that's how you don't get a ticket. I'm not saying that's good advice. Don't take that advice. I'm just saying that was his theory. But it sure seems to me that's kind of the way he lived life. Like, he didn't have to be up front all the time. And he didn't want to straggle in the back, but he wanted to be right in the middle of whatever was happening with whoever was there. That's how he did life. He loved to be on the move. And as Josh said, Amanda said she couldn't figure out if he had more hours in the day. Like, how did he end up having so many conversations throughout the day and going to so many places and doing so many things and teaching and coaching and driving? And he had this intensity and he had this drive, but it wasn't self-serving. As an athlete, he loved to play, obviously, but he loved even more to coach. And he wanted to see other people achieve. I loved him. Amanda said it like this. She said, Randy had this rare spirit. He wanted other people to dream big dreams and to accomplish them. And he was always in the background trying to make the dreams of other people happen. Always doing the little things behind the scenes so that so many people didn't see it. And Amanda said people at work would ask her, Amanda, how do you do as much as you do? And she said, I do it because my husband believes in me. And he does whatever he can to help me. And Amanda, there's a room full of people that feel exactly like that about him. Because he did that for all of us. There was no one quite like him. So it's not hard to see why I really latched on to Josh saying, that 52-year-old body got a lot of use. And why it reminded me of Romans 12. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to the Lord. Because this is your true and proper worship. And there are so many more stories. I mean, like I said, we sat there for 3 hours and they weren't done yet. I just finally said, guys, I got to go. But So there's so much more, and you find yourself thinking, well, how did he do it? Like the magnitude of his impact, of Randy's impact, is overwhelming. How did he do it? 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike, 26.2-mile run, 140.6 miles. How did he do it? One stroke at a time, one pedal at a time, one step at a time. He didn't have to be in front. He just had to keep going. Randy did an Ironman in Cozumel. It was pouring down rain. It was literally a tropical storm. And you had to finish by midnight in order to finish. And his family was waiting for him at the finish line. And Ben, his brother-in-law, decided he was going to try to run upstream, and I think at that point it was a stream, to see if he could find Randy. Make sure he was okay. And Randy was drenched. And he was just plodding along, ankle-deep water, and he just kept going. One step, and the next step, and the next step, until he got to the finish line. And his family was waiting for him. And now his example becomes our roadmap. Amanda and Reed and Kaylee, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get through this? We're going to do it like he did it. One day at a time, one step at a time. And when we start to fade, we're going to go out to each other and we're going to run with each other. Only this time, when we get to the end, Randy will be at the finish line, waiting for us to get there. And if I know him and you do, there's going to be all sorts of people that he wants to introduce us to. But one in particular, and as Josh said, if you don't know it, it's the one that Randy did everything for. And if you don't know Jesus, you need to know Jesus. Because that's who Randy did all of that for. Amanda said that they would circle up before Randy would start a race, and they would pray. And almost every time they would pray Isaiah 40. I know Lauren already read it, but it just seems worth repeating. Don't you know? Haven't you heard? The Lord is the everlasting God. He's the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not grow tired or weary. And his understanding, no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary. Young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint.
As we begin to close this afternoon, let's sing Goodness of God. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held
Father God, King Jesus, and Holy Spirit, we end this time together recognizing that you are the triune God. You are holy. You are King of kings and Lord of all lords. This is the day that you have created, so we will rejoice. Even in our pain, knowing that you have conquered death, in you we have light and life. We give you thanks for Randy and the life that he led by your Spirit. His joy and enthusiasm were a thing of beauty in a broken world. May we be reminded of Randy when we see a baseball, an MDOT, a runner, a cyclist, a swimmer, a big cup of coffee with a big T on it. Not to be sad, but to remember that he was like you, Jesus. And may we be more like you because of that memory. Holy Spirit, be with his family, especially Amanda, Reed, and Kaylee. When the days are hard, may they feel your presence in a real and tangible way, knowing that you have called them by name. And when the waters rise and when the fires come, that you will protect them, you will give them peace, and you will hold them up. Father, give them the strength and peace to know that the next story really is our true story. Knowing that Randy will meet us all with a hug and a smile that makes his eyes disappear. And he'll say, "Come on, you've got to see this. Let's go. Let's go further in and further up." Father, your kingdom came and was present through Randy. And so we end this time praying that your kingdom would come, and that your will would be done in and through our lives as we wait for your return, King Jesus. Chase after us, chase after the family with your hesed love. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. The family would again like to thank you. If you have been on a team, so if you were a teammate or a player with Randy, please come down front. They would love to get a picture. It's been mentioned that Randy loved the University of Tennessee. And so at Kaylee's request, we will end with something that he would be proud of. Rocky Top.